absolutely devastating.
Oh!
This is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn broadcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my ass while I win this match.
All right, well, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to GWR Gonzo'S Wrestling Room, Monday, December 30th, 2024, last show of the year, guys. It is. I'm Chris Gonzo'S, joined by Tony Gonzo'S, and also we have Austin Gonzo'S in here with us tonight in the studio. And then we're joined by Marcus Fine and Warren Misery, as always. How's it going, guys?
Doing okay, I guess.
Going.
They're all under the weather. I think everybody's a little under the weather.
What's up, Billy Buzz?
Billy Buzz.
Kelly's on here too. I thought she was. I couldn't tell, but she signed in.
Guess we'll get things going. I think I fell asleep there for a minute.
I didn't know what was going on.
I think I was asleep. Okay, we're going to start off with Marcus.
Well, there we go. At least he picked the right one.
Yeah, he did.
I was hoping that was the right button. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, we've been going over those buttons lately, so you knew which one was what. So
Yeah, they put a little piece of tape on there, Bobby, which one it was.
put an X across the one you don't want to touch.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get started with the Independent Wrestling Report with Marcus Fine.
All right. Well, I got some sad news we got to cover first. We had some passings of the local wrestling community. Been about 10 days ago or so now. Jeffrey Williams, also known as Gary Blackwell, passed away. He worked with Diamond Dan and Basher and TJ Powers and all them guys. Bobo, one of the older vets of the state. I'd always seen him work once. In fact, it was Kelly's first live match. He was at that years ago, and I did run into him at the Basher Memorial a few years ago, and so he passed away. So to his family, also to the family of Larry Jennings, wrestled as Gavin Alexander. He passed away last week before. He had a rough way to go too.
I'd actually designed some of Alexander's merch about 3 years ago.
At least a little over two, at least.
Yeah.
Back when we first started, it wasn't too long after we first started doing wrestling shows and stuff. I designed made two or three different logos for shirts for them.
Yeah, I think you met him at the show we don't talk about.
Yes.
That's where you met him.
Yes. The guy put himself in his own Hall of Fame. Yes, that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I think it's Joe Monroe's stepfather. It might be his father, but I think it's his stepfather by the way he was wording stuff. They lost that great man last week. So, as you know, Joe hasn't been on here this past week for the loss of, I was thinking it was his stepfather.
Yeah, I saw he posted death in the family.
So we send out our condolences on all those people and their families. Then I want to do some birthdays, if that's all right. Kelly says, well, I'll start doing birthdays. So we're going to run out some birthdays. Waterboy. Yay, Waterboy came across. And Edwin Torres.
Wait a minute. You can't start out going to do birthdays and the first one on our show be Waterboy. Come on.
I'm sorry. It has to be. That's the first one on there.
Would you see what Waterboy did to Hank?
Yeah.
Made him submit. Yeah, I was there.
Hey,
Made him submit. Anyhow, so Edwin Torres, who will be on the show next Monday to promote the benefits show. Also, today is Itch's birthday and Mike Noble's birthday. So, Mike Noble.
See, you could let off with Itch or Mike Noble, and you let off with the Waterboy.
Well, then we got Damian DeVille and Tanner Kelly coming up this week, as well as Luke Savage. So if there's anybody we missed that we normally talk to or want their birthday shouted out, throw it on there and we'll shout it out.
Yep.
So happy birthday to all those.
Happy birthday.
That's kind of a weird group of people. You're right, but because you got Noble, then you got the Water Boy, but then you got David DeVille, and yeah, you got a weird group of people there.
Well, like a recruitment for Call X.
We need to sort of do that like what was his name on the Today Show? The old weatherman used to do. He'd throw up the pictures of the old ladies and be like, Martha Smith in Jasper, Wyoming turns 105 today.
Willard Scott.
Scott, yeah.
Hey, we're not ready for that yet, Justin, but if you want to throw those out there. So, Rinley, which is Kyra's daughter, Jake Elliott's stepdaughter, is in the hospital with RSV.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So we just seen her on Friday, but that little girl has a lot of medical issues, so pray for her all the time.
I think she's exactly at a Ball hospital. I think they sent her there.
Ball.
I think they sent her to Ball.
You mean Riley?
No, she's at Ball.
In Muncie?
Yeah, she was at one hospital. They sent her to Ball.
Usually people are wanting to get sent away from Ball, not to Ball.
That's what I always thought.
Okay,
Excuse me.
we're ready for some results.
Okay.
Big
I
Glenn.
think. Is there anything else we got to cover before that?
No, I think we're good.
All right, I'm trying to read all this. Hey, Alex, how's it going, buddy? Justin Danger, Cold X, and I could see who else. John Downs? Well, what's up, John Downs?
The little girl's home now.
Ooh.
So,
All
Jonathan
right.
Holiday says she's home, so that's good.
Okay, a week ago, not Friday, but the Friday before, this is courtesy of my good buddy Steve Butler. It was at the Outlaw Arena. Mike Noble defeated Max Sterling. He retained the Gunslinger title. Pogo defeated Timmy Jackson, Austin James Scorpion, and Kurt Busse in a scramble match. Damian Real defeated Troy Valentine. WCW territorial title holder Brody Bockets defeated Jake Phoenix, non-title match. WCW tag champs, the James Gang, defeated Cecil Cerveza and Waterboy, non-title match. Malenko defeated Zach Nova. Zay Gates defeated Damon Real with help from the James Gang. That was his match of the night. And then Jackson Morgan defeated David Light to retain the WCW Outlaw title. So thank you, Steve Butler, for those. And I know that's a little late, but
how's it going, John?
It's good to see John in here. We need to bring him on sometime.
Definitely.
So, John, we'll get with you. Okay, we were all, except for the guy on the head with all the hair, was at AACW.
Dirty Austin. Dirty Austin.
You missed the good one, Austin. I mean, you really did. What's up, David? But yeah, it was a good show. Very good show. Clash Before Christmas, Sharpsville, Indiana, a week ago Saturday. Zay Gates and Christian Cash defeated the Cake Monster and Krispy Kreme. They are now the number one contenders for the AACW Tag Team titles. Jake Elliott defeated Christopher Bob Steele. A guy I was impressed with, Sean Phoenix, defeated Juice Warta, Hobo Jones, Preston Riker, and Cody Lee to earn a shot at the AACW heavyweight title later in the night. Bobo Brazil Jr., I put defeated Tate Manson, but more like just literally beat the hell out of him.
That was a massacre.
Man. So Bobo retained his AACW US title. Drew Skills defeated Johnny Dark Suede. Jitson defeated Paris McQueen and Paige Jones. She is now the brand new inaugural AACW Ladies Champion. And what I call an upset, Kelly's boyfriend, Nelson Edwin Robert Doolittle V, defeated Congo Kong. He is now the new Eternal Excellence Champion. Then Johnny Crisis defeated Sean Phoenix and kept his AACW title. Justin Terrell defeated Cruiser in a dog collar match. That's the one we're going to talk about here in a minute. Match of the night for me, Damien DeVille defeated Travis Southern in a non-sanctioned Falls Count Anywhere, no DQ career versus career match. It's some pretty hellacious table bumps and drops, and man.
I think it was match of the night for me also.
I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. Justin Terrell and Cruiser, that match actually is still going on if you technically want to get down to it. I have photographic proof. Nobody touched that fourth ring post. Nobody.
His hand went up. His hand, I was right in the corner. It hit. It hit.
No, according to my photographs, and we go by my photographs, it did not touch.
Latino eat
look,
Austin
I
Jr.
had that perfect shot on it. I saw that arm go up. I saw it.
I'll have to watch it
I'll
back.
send you the photos and you look at them, see from my angle. Just see what I see. So, anyhow, that was a hell of a match, too. I love the fact that they actually had some length on the chain. I mean, I think they could have went from the front door to the stage on as much chain as they had, but I love it. Sometimes those chains are very small, but that was my second match of the night. I mean, I did like the fact that they were hitting that Christmas tree on Nelson and Congo beating the hell out of that Christmas tree on each other, but
That was entertaining also, yeah.
Adari in the house.
Yeah,
no, that's not Hadari. That's Andre Stray.
yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
Hadari is no longer.
Yeah, Hidari's
There's that great part where Nerd got thrown down the bleachers.
Yep.
And Congo had him all. He ran out. Nerd ran all the way up, and then
Climbed over all those people, and then that's what was funny is he's climbing over all those people up there. They were getting up there to get out of the way, and he comes flying up there, and crawls over the top of them. It's like, well, shit, these are the Legos. I have the Legos actually. I just cataloged and filed the Legos.
Curtis actually will show up at this Rumble.
Yeah. Well, those are actual uncensored, unedited photos. I will send them to you, Billy. But send me an email. Yes, Nelson is one heck of a performer.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that guy is fantastic. Okay. Then I was at the Outlaw Arena. Kelly's at the Outlaw Arena Friday. Standing room only. Packed in there like sardines. Turned people away by 7 o'clock. That's how big that thing become. And here we go. Mike Noble defeated. Here we go. Andre. I had to have him send it to me. He is now known as the Dog Pound Hound, Andre Stray.
Oh, okay.
The WCWO Gunslinger title.
Oh, yeah.
His new gear looks really cool because his belt or the band around the top of it looks like a spiked dog collar. When he first came out, it made no sense. Once they said what his name was, then it made sense what he was doing. So he's got it's an interesting gimmick. I like it. And you can say you got screwed, Andre, but it's a cage match. There is no cheating in cage matches. I don't care how many people I argued with in the front row on Friday. You can't cheat in a cage match. So
Anything goes.
Wait a minute, you were arguing with people in the front row at the dub?
people are arguing, yelling, cheaters like they're
What
not
are you
cheating.
thinking?
Anything's allowed. I'm tired of shit.
82 shows, 591 matches. Marcus had enough. That's his limit right there, guys. We know his limit.
A new 2025, 40 years of starting in February. That's my 40th year of attending live shows. So, yep, I've seen a lot. Okay. In an upset, Waterboy Cameron Cross defeated Hank Calhoun via submission, made him pass out. Cut him open and made him pass out. Cameron Cross defeated Hank Calhoun. Why am I hearing that? What the hell?
It was his
It
fault.
wasn't me.
And a guy that, this is a little insight, top 5 next week when we do our top 5, Troy Valentine defeated Timmy Turner, Max Sterling, Scorpion, Rachel Armstrong, and Dex Royal in a scramble cage match. The rookie who's got less than 6 months beat all those guys and ladies.
Oh, big
And
win.
the rules of that match is you had to be the first one out of the cage over the top. And, so he that's a big thing under his belt. Logan Myers and Ashton, Logan Myers and Ashton Adonis defeated Carter Kaufman and Elijah Arrows in what I call an ass-whooping match because Logan Myers and Ashton just beat them. The other two didn't have a chance, and they ended up zip-tying Carter to the cage and then beat the hell out of Arrows, and then they were going to get out, and Logan says, no, let's hit him again. So they went in there and hit him again, and then they walked out. And then they had to get some knives and cut her off the cage. And Highlight Reel defeated the James Gang, the new WCW Tag Team Champions. They were hitting each other with Christmas trees and glittery candy cane pole things. I mean, it was pretty humorous. David Light defeated Cecil Cerveza, Timmy Jackson, Zay Gates, and Phoenix in a cage ladder match to earn a shot at the Outlaw title anywhere, anytime. They put a box up at the top like a title, and the first one to get the box got the box, and then they opened it and it was that contract for that. Brody Botkins defeated Pogo to retain the WCW territorial title. Main event, Jackson Morgan defeated Maliko to retain the Outlaw title. That's my match of the night. They beat the hell out of each other 15 minutes before they even got the cage. And we're talking beat the hell. Not smack. They were punching each other. They got the stairs and everything else.
Sounds like an awesome show.
It was a damn good show. So now it's up to you because I wasn't there.
Okay, we got FEW results. The show started off retaliation. Excuse me. The show started off with Elijah Arrows taking on Ricky Guns. A pretty good match. Arrows got the win. One thing I noticed, Marcus, I was going to see you see him quite a bit. I hadn't seen Arrows for about 6 weeks. It looked like he'd been hitting the gym pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. He has.
I could tell. We could tell a difference. It'd been about 2 months since we seen him, and man, there was a difference. Good match. Next up, the Empire, JT Kirk, and Crystal Moon defended the tag team titles. Must be Freebird rules against VIP Vinny Vichetti and Avery Hertz. The Empire won that match. Crystal Moon was on a tear. She's pretty much telling Kirk and the other guy, Matt Grant, she was on them all night long, man. I guess she's definitely the boss now. So it was a pretty good match. Next up, we had Ashton Adonis against Zay Gates. A really good match. Ashton Adonis won that match. Next up from there, we had Jackson Morgan with the King Mitchell Taylor in his corner and a no DQ match against Jacob Rose. If Jacob Rose had to win that match to get a title match against Mitchell Taylor, the King, and he did win because Mitchell Taylor.
And, real quick, going back to the Zay Gates and Adonis match. Zay Gates had that match won, and Matthew Grant of the Empire came out and distracted him, and he turned his back on Adonis and ended up getting beat.
Yes, he did. But
that will come into play here.
Yeah, that's true. Mitchell Taylor messed up and accidentally tased Jackson Morgan and caused Jackson Morgan the match. So new number one contender is Jacob Rose. Speaking, Matt Grant was the next match from the Empire against Bird. And like you said, kind of a callback.
Grant had that match won, and Zay Gates' music came on, and he turned around, was looking at the entrance. Zay never came out, but when he turned around, he got caught by a Bird and ended up losing the match. So it looks like there's getting ready to be something going on between Zay and Matthew Grant, which would be interesting to see because both them guys are impressive.
As a matter of fact, it's going to be a show they're doing February the 2nd. Going to be an Iron Man, 60-minute Iron Man match between Grant and
Zay Gates.
60 minutes.
February the 2nd.
At least two guys that can do that.
Oh, we got you a poster, Marcus.
I got you a poster for that show,
Thank
too.
you. Because some of those Iron Man matches, they put people in there. It's like, oh, Lord, we got to watch them do this for an hour. But Zay Gates and Matthew Grant could probably do it for an hour. So
Who do we see? We've seen a couple good Iron Man matches.
Yeah, we have.
Jordan James and Mickey Midas or whatever. Is that his name?
Wow. Yeah, I bet that was good. Yeah.
That was real good. And then we saw another one that was good too.
Well, we've seen one there. You've seen one at Summit because they did it,
I can't think of the guy's name.
Yeah.
That was really good, yeah. Next up, Carter Kaufman took on Storm Garcon, and Carter got the win because of interference from Crystal Moon. Crystal Moon came out and distracted her. Really good match. Carter Kaufman and Storm Garcon, one of the better women matches I've seen in a long time. It was really good. Next up, T.I. Ice against. I'm having trouble talking. Period. But Ice lost the match against the King Mitchell Taylor. King pretty much controlled that match. It was a championship match. And then the main event, we had Logan Myers, J Rock, and Brandon Day, and a triple threat. And now we have a new champion.
And Pablo's
in
get out of the way, dude.
Pablo's a new champion.
Yes, new champion, Logan Myers. Yep. Logan Myers is the new mid-continental champion. So Um,
And
really
that was
good.
that was a real good match as well.
I'm telling you guys, man, it was a solid show. If you was rating the matches 8 out of 10, I think they was all like 7 or 8s at least.
I hate to say this because I don't want to make Alex's head any bigger, but that last night was one of the best solid shows I've seen from top to bottom in a long time. It was a real good show from top to bottom. Really wasn't anything weak on the show.
No.
I mean, it was a real solid show.
It's
So
really hard to come up with what was my favorite match. I'm going to go with the Logan Myers match because he won the title. I'm going to go with that. A lot of good action in it. But, man, you could have picked 4 or 5 of these matches. It was a really good show.
yeah. So, but yeah, Alex, what you and Mark House have going on over there right now, I think is moving definitely in the right direction.
Knocking it out of the park, man. Old big head Alex. Getting his head bigger. But it was a real good show. We had a good time. Perfectly ran. Matches right length of time. Really good intermission, about 10, 12 minutes. It was about 2 hours, 15, 2 hour, 20 minute show.
Yeah, about 2 hours and 15 minutes.
So it was
2 hours and 20.
really good show. Had a good time. Okay, anybody else got anything else before we move on to our next topic? Okay, we're going to go with our top 10, call it favorite wrestlers, however you want to put it, but it's our top 10s, guys that connected with you. And the way I was going to do it, was going to go in order. Marcus, you do your number 10. Warren do his number 10.
No, I didn't write it down like that. Okay.
And we'll do it in order. And me, and Chris, and Austin, however. So who was the first guy on your list, your number 10, Marcus?
I didn't write them down. Go ahead and go the other way. Run them out.
I didn't write it down either.
I wrote down 10 names. I didn't put them in order.
Yeah.
You don't have yours in order either? I'll go first since I've got mine in order.
Yeah.
My first guy on my list, a lot of people out there probably not going to know who it is. It's a guy by the name of Prince Pullins. He wrestled there in WWA with Dick the Bruiser and those guys, especially in the 70s. I grew up watching him. He wasn't a great wrestler. He was close to maybe even being a jobber. He was a former bodybuilder. He just connected with me. I don't know why. I was probably about 5 or 6 years old when I first started watching Bruiser and them. But he was just a guy that connected with me. And he wrestled some other places, but mostly a lot with Bruiser. So Prince Pullins was my number 10. Austin, you want to go next?
Yeah, I can go next. My number 10 and 9 are more recent people. Oh, I got to get used to this. My number 10 and 9 are recent people that I think will be on my list overall, but I just want to put them on there because they're my 2 favorites right now. So number 10, I have Damian Priest because there's just something about him that I just think he could end up being one of the best of all time. I wish they'd push him more, but I like what they've been doing with him a lot lately, so that's why he's number 10.
Okay. You got a good character.
And he got off to a little bit later start,
Yep.
Age wise, because he was in his 40s, isn't he?
Yeah, he was 10 years ago. He was living out of his car. He was overweight.
I didn't realize he was when I first saw him. I didn't realize he was in his 40s. I was like, damn.
Yeah, he's doing good work right now.
Yes. Chris, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go. On my number 10, I have Chris Benoit. I know a lot of people. I know what happened is bad and everything, but just if you go up by the wrestling and his character, he was one of the guys that I really bought into. I liked his intensity and everything, so I would have him in my top 10.
I can understand that. Don't disagree. Okay, Marcus.
Okay. Mine's all based out of how I got started because that's basically what the project was. What's up, Kevin Mitchell? What's up, Juan Sanchez? Jake Oman, I'm sorry, Thomas Keats not in my list.
Oh, Lord.
I did tag teams as well. I did the Freebirds.
We didn't do shit list.
Oh, here we go.
I shouldn't have said that, but I could help it.
Anyhow, no, I put I have tag teams in mine too. I have the Freebirds as my number 10 because of all that WCCWC. I gotta watch those letters because they're all similar to everything we do. WCCW. And Texas was a big thing in the 80s, so.
Okay, Warren?
Well, I thought was you waiting me to tell you more.
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, I didn't have any particular order, but probably, I mean, like one of them is probably AJ Styles. He was someone that independent TNA, and was doing stuff that what we were seeing on the big shows, and also taking things to another level. We're just watching the early X Division stuff with the likes of him and Petey Williams and Christopher Daniels. It was next level stuff, and it was that nice mix of power and speed.
I did say that. Sorry, Jake. I did say that.
You just called him Jake again.
I
It's John.
did say that. I did say Jake too, didn't I? I'm so sorry, Mr. Downs. That's why I do it that way. I'll start calling you Mr. Downs. I won't screw that up. I am sorry. I just not realized you're talking about me. I'm sorry, Mr. Downs.
Okay. My number 9, kind of in Marcus's way of thinking, we used to go to Texas a lot when I was a kid, and the first time I seen the Von Erichs and those guys, and it's the Von Erichs for me. He said the Freebirds, but just seeing them on TV and the crowds going crazy on the Von Erichs, I missed out a little bit on David Von Erich. I think David was already gone, or I didn't see him much. I seen Kerry and Kevin were the main two that I seen. But going to Texas, that was one thing. Crazy enough, going to visit my family. One of my favorite things was being able to watch that wrestling show on TV down there. So the Von Erichs was my number 9. Austin?
All right, yeah, my number 9 is Big E, or Big E Langston. When Big E first came up, I was probably like 11 or so, and just right away there was the power and speed combo and the kind of being wrestler background. He right away I knew it was going to be one of my favorites. I wish he would have got a big run earlier on, but he finally got there, and I'm happy to see that. And I hope this new angle with him is pretty good too. So.
Justin Danger said he worked with AJ years ago.
Yes, he did. I remember that.
Okay, Chris?
My next one is Jake the Snake Roberts. I was always a big fan of his. I think he's one of the best heels of all time. And then also Marcus Square Arena, we got to hold Damien back in the day when we were sitting there on the entryway. So that's a memory that I always have. So Jake's always been pretty high on my list.
Okay, next up is Marcus.
Mine's the free, or mine's the not the Freebirds, the Von Erichs.
Von Erichs.
Because again, it's Texas, and of course they were more popular than the Freebirds. That's why they kind of ranked above them. But we didn't get a lot of WCCW. We always had to go to Lafayette to my other grandmother's house to watch. But when we did, did I say something else?
The hell no. Shane Gauser did.
Sorry, I about spit my mouth and do it.
How do you get brought up? Somebody bring up Big E?
Yeah.
That was Austin's last one.
That was Austin's last pick.
Oh, I was apologizing to
Austin,
Mr.
you want to comment on that?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure he likes someone that's annoying to me.
But anyhow, so I
don't know if you've ever seen Called X. You don't get much more annoying than that.
Well, I hope nobody has Ric Flair on the list because he should.
Oh, shit.
But anyhow, so I picked the Von Erichs because they were, and you guys all seen what I got for Christmas, right?
Christmas.
That's pretty cool.
Warren.
Also, like I got tag teams in here too, and this was the early version. The later versions are still cool, but really there was been influential in me was the Hardy Boys. Just with the way they come in with a different kind of feel, a vibe, and I had the opportunity to have met them both separately at separate places, and met Jeff in 2004 before he got really into stuff, and then Matt at WrestleMania, and they were both very, very cordial, very kind guys, very, very polite, and it was cool. So that's probably my number 9.
Okay. My number 8 is Mankind, Mick Foley, all those names, whatever you want to call them. Seeing him, I got to see him in WCW. He started out as Captain Jack. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he was Captain Jack. He wrestled in Texas as Cactus Jack. Then he was in ECW, and then made it as Mankind in the WWE, and then run out all the characters in WWE. He just connected to me, and then also one of the most memorable things, him going off that cage and all the stuff that he did. But he was, I mean, a lot of people, I know Ric Flair one time said he was a stunt man. I think he was a lot more than a stunt man. He brought out an emotion in people, the way that he was presented and the way he did things, and went on to write books and do all kinds of things. So I really like Mankind. So he was my number 8. Austin?
All right. My number 8 is Chris Jericho. I just think he's been able to reinvent himself so many times, but growing up, he was always just one of my favorites, heel or face. You know, he'd come back, he'd always get one of the biggest pops. And yeah, I mean, over the years, he's been able to reinvent himself. I don't know about right now as much. I'm not really as big of a fan now, but we're talking about growing up and being one of my favorites. So I felt like he should have been on the list.
Okay, next up, Chris.
My number 8 was Chris Jericho as well.
Okay.
I've been same thing like Austin says, reinvented himself a lot, but back especially the older versions of Jericho coming up through WWE when he had like the list and some of that stuff he was able to do really kind of drew me in. So I had to have Jericho on there.
Okay, Marcus.
All right, I'm going to throw a surprise. Cowboy Bob Orton. He worked with Bruiser when I first started watching Bruiser, and then the next thing you know, he's Roddy Piper's bodyguard.
Yep.
The Cowboy Bob Orton and Bruiser had big feuds in Indianapolis and wherever else they wrestled. They always did the pile drivers behind the referee's back because it was illegal to pile drive back then. And but yeah, he did the superplex, which was off the second rope because you couldn't go off the top rope. The Cowboy Bob Orton was a big deal in Indianapolis at one time. So, and then he made it big to WWE with Piper and being Ace, and he had a big career before that too. If you watch Mid-South and stuff, so that's who I picked for number 8.
Okay, Warren.
Fine, I'll go this one. I know it's going to make Justin Danger happy, but Raven. Scotty Flamenco, Johnny Polo, whatever you want to call him. That you talk about a guy that takes what's given and makes the best of it, and then in turn in his ECW run, and then even that WCW run with Raven, that just his brooding, it's just that whole idea, and then he took whining on the microphone to a whole new level, and it was one of those ones where I always liked back in the old N64 days. He was always one of the guys I would have on my team was Raven, just because I just really dug how he was.
Shane's asking what is the list. The list is just basically each guy's who connected with them. Maybe their favorites, maybe not their favorites, maybe not the all-time greatest, but people that connected with them, in their lifetime. I mean, like I had Prince Pullins. A lot of people probably don't know who Prince Pullins is. I think Marcus kind of knows who Prince Pullins is, but it's this kind of people that you connected with. Okay, so who went last? Was that Warren?
Okay.
No.
Warren just went, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's my turn. I got to take Dude connected with me, and I know Mark is not a fan favorite, but I got Shawn Michaels as my number 7. I know. Sorry,
But it connected to you. He didn't connect to me.
Yeah, he did connect with me, especially actually. I mean, I know he was a dick during those times. He connected with me then, but he even connected with me more after that, and he's connecting with me now with what he's doing over in NXT and stuff. So Shawn Michaels is my number 7. Austin?
All right, my number 7 is Randy Orton. I mean, I grew up seeing him my whole life, and he's probably the most natural, maybe to ever do it, in my opinion. He's had his ups and downs, but he's still going strong now. And heel or face, he's always been one of my favorites growing up, and he still is today. So, I mean, I think you can say when he's done, you could say he's the greatest of all time, and I wouldn't argue. So.
Okay, Chris.
Number 7, I have Ultimate Warrior. He was a guy. He wasn't the best in the ring, but he was a guy when when I was a kid, we were big fans of. We got to see him live a lot here in Indianapolis. So
Yep.
I had to have him on my list.
He showed up. So
Yeah, he showed up. Hogan never showed up.
Hogan didn't show, so we got the Ultimate Warrior. But yeah, my wife was a big Ultimate Warrior fan. So that's one reason she went to the shows. She wasn't a big wrestling fan, but she liked going to the shows to see him. So yeah,
I say he wasn't the best,
no.
the best in the ring and stuff, but his intensity and just getting the crowd fired up and stuff. And when especially when I was a kid, it was
kind of different at the time.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was probably roid rage, but anyway.
no, probably. Next up, we got Marcus.
Number 7, Bruiser Brody. Bruiser Brody also had big feuds with Dick the Bruiser in Indy, plus all over. And I've been watching Bruiser Brody stuff on Japan and Puerto Rico, and that man was a nut. Not terrible that I did not get to see him live anywhere, because he would have caused the riot.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
He did cause riots.
but yeah, Bruiser Brody, I miss him.
Okay, Warren.
Yeah, my next couple are going to have a little bit of a path to it, but my next one is RVD. He grew up. I grew up.
Marcus's favorite.
I grew up 20 minutes. We grew up 20 minutes apart from one another. I lived in Coldwater, he lived in Battle Creek. So, you know, it was just that whole, once you found out someone that close to where you're originally from was that level of a wrestler, you sort of like check them out. But that's one of my top 10 there, influentials.
Okay. My number 6, probably a lot of guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I seen him on WTBS on the Mid-South. He had just turned a good guy, and it was Hacksaw Butch Reed. I connected with Hacksaw Butch Reed. I know when he went to WWE, become a bad guy, and I always liked him, but he was kind of a jobber as a bad guy. He didn't win a lot. He was good in WCW with Doom and had a great tag team with Ron Simmons. But Hacksaw Butch Reed, I thought he was a great good guy there in Mid-South. So he connected with me. He's a guy I really like.
All right. My number 6 is Rey Mysterio. I mean, growing up seeing Rey Mysterio, you know, littler guy winning the championships and doing all that. I mean, it was kind of like I was seeing me out there. That's what I was thinking as a kid, and I would dress up as him and stuff. And it's not like the guys today. I like the flips and all that, but Rey Mysterio did it, and it was so fluent. It didn't seem rehearsed like a lot of the stuff today. And there's just, I mean, he's the best high flyer of all time for me, and he's always been one of my favorites. So.
Okay, next up is Chris.
My next one, Ric Flair. I was always a big Ric Flair fan growing up. Him and Sting, the old school Sting back in the day were about the reasons I watched WCW. But Ric Flair, I think, is one of the best, especially promo wise. That dude on the mic was great back in the day, but I've always been a big fan of Flair.
Am I the only one that could see Chris running around as a little kid, going up to him and going, "How would you like to ride on Space Mountain?" Not knowing what it meant. Stop it.
No, he says that, but he was always, when we would wrestle, me and him and his brother, they was always the Rock and Roll Express, and I must have been the jobber because they just beat the shit out of me. I can remember them pulling my legs apart and kicking me and everything else. It wasn't fun, guys. Okay, next up is Marcus.
I lost it. Jerry Blackwell. I love Jerry Blackwell. That's another one I missed that I wish I'd seen in person. The guy who could drop kick at 400 pounds and kick somebody in the chest. I mean, very agile. There's a lot of agile guys out, but that guy was a beast.
I didn't get to see a lot of him. The time I seen him was when AWA was on Channel 4. That's when I got to see him. I maybe seen him a little bit. I can't remember if he was on the ESPN version or not, but I do remember seeing him on the Channel 4 when AEW used to come on Channel 4, I think on Saturday mornings. I got to see Crusher Blackwell or Jerry Blackwell. Okay, Warren.
I mean, should I just do the rest of mine as Shane Cowser just to get on his good side? Because, I mean, obviously I'm striking out left and right.
Yep.
Next one, and this has nothing to do. The backstage issues and the politics and things like this. This is strictly as a guy, as a wrestler, and once again, it has a theme to it. Kevin Nash, Big Sexy, being another guy from Michigan, and as Diesel was awesome. It was great watching what he did then. It was a big guy that, well, his skill set was limited. Still, just he had the draw, and then helping launch into WCW and doing the whole NWO thing. It was cool to be a part of that and just sort of adapt that big sexy vibe and just that feel. I always used to do and so
His best character though was Oz.
Vinny Vegas. Did we talk about this?
Yeah,
we talked about this, Marcus. It was in Vinny Vegas, isn't that what we said?
Vinny Vegas. Oz was the worst. Vinny Vegas was second.
No, Oz was bad. I just said that. Oz was bad.
Man, that was terrible.
Okay, we're up to number 5. I've got Mr. Perfect. He was a guy that I connected with in the AWA. He was the AWA World Champion, and that was before he got to WWE in his Mr. Perfect run. So, Mr. Perfect, I think is very underrated. I know he's in the Hall of Fame, but he's just one of my favorites in the ring. I think he was fantastic. So, he was my number 5. Austin?
All right. My number 5 is CM Punk. I mean, when he first got to WWE, I was probably, 8 or so, and growing up in middle school and him being like the guy, and in a PG way, he was kind of the Stone Cold of that era. Not as much and not as good, but of that era. So he was just one that you would want to root for, and I was really upset when he left WWE at the time. I'm happy he's back now, so he's always going to be up there as one of my favorites.
My turn.
Yep.
I think so.
I'm gonna go a little bit different direction here, but Pat McAfee.
Oh,
I know he's worked some in the ring, but I think he's great as an announcer. He's a guy. To me, he's entertaining as hell. I can sit and listen to the dude talk all day long. I do most days because I watch the show, but so I had to have Pat McAfee on the list.
Raw's better when he's on it. I agree.
I think him and Cole together, ring announcing are awesome.
Yeah. Oh no, I like the new guy too, though.
Yeah, the guy's doing. He's doing a good job. Okay, next up, Marcus.
Number 5. Here's a surprise. Pre-model. Rick Martel.
Yep.
AWA heavyweight champion. Beat Jumbo Sharuda. Lost it to Stan Hansen. Former tag team champion in the WWE with several people. Tito Santana, Tony Gurria, and I think there's a few more. I loved Rick Martel before he became the model. Then he was just annoying when he had the arrogant spray mister. Rick Martel.
Okay, Warren.
My next one is another tag team, actually a family that enjoyed tables, and it was those damn Dudleys. Basically, from the beginning, from ECW on, because I absolutely love the fact it was the first time that I was shown that you could just have this massive storyline and this how you can tell a story about this group of people. And anyone that doesn't know, like, just Google the Dudley story, and it's just amazingly ingenious how there were so many different Dudleys from so many different parts, and then they just continued to be successful everywhere they went. And like I said, I've met 2 of the main 3. I'm hoping to get that last one, Brother Ray, coming up at the end of the month there in January. But yeah, they're up there for me.
Okay, next up,
Devon was cool. Devon was cool to meet in person as well. He was real friendly and everything. So.
Yeah, he was. Next up, for me, my number 4, another guy that I found on Georgia Championship Wrestling. There on WTBS, Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. I know he was pretty much a heel most of the time. He was a good guy there for a little bit, and I got connected with him. Had great matches. Crazy as hell. Died young. Had classic matches with Tommy Rich, Wildfire Tommy Rich. One of the greatest feuds of all time with Tommy Rich in the Battle of Atlanta. You guys might check out that cage match there on if you can find a copy. It's a rough copy, but it's from the Omni. But Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer was one of my favorites. Austin?
Number 4, right?
Yep.
All right, my number 4 is John Cena. I know the hate's coming, but I mean, I grew up. He was the main guy when I was growing up.
Yeah.
As a little kid, I had all the shirts. I had purple one, the yellow one, the red one, all of them. And so I, mean,
Hats, wristbands.
Yep.
I don't think he's the best of all time, but in terms of
Actually,
connecting and all that,
I think one of your hats is right here somewhere.
probably.
I know your CM Punk hat is. I think there's a John Cena one around here too.
Yeah, but in terms of connecting and all that, and I mean, as a kid, I had to put him on the list because he was one of my favorites growing up. So
I can see that. Okay, Chris?
Undertaker is gonna be my next one. He's one. I mean, I remember I was probably 9 or 10. I think the first time when he came out at Survivor Series.
Is the original Undertaker your favorite, or one of the other? Because he had 3 or 4 different.
Probably the original.
Oh, the original.
I did like the American Badass era too, but the original was probably my favorite because that's. I mean, I grew up through the original more, but it was. But yeah, Undertaker has to be up there.
my favorite Undertaker is probably like 2006 up.
So Calvin did have a good point, Austin. How could you connect with him if you couldn't see him?
He got me there.
Okay, next up, I believe is Marcus.
All right. Well, I gotta go back and do stuff. Billy Buzz, yes. Martel did team with Dino Bravo at one time too. I think they held the tag team champions of Canada and maybe WWF. I can't remember. I did like
How's it
Strike
going,
Force
Rick?
because I was also a big Tito Santana fan, but I did not care for the Can-Am connection when Martel was with Tom Zink. That kind of sucked, so I'm kind of glad that went south as quickly as it did. So what number are we ready for? 4? Hulk Hogan. I got to do Hulk Hogan because that's where my
I know. I understand.
Now I got out of that, but Hulk Hogan was a big deal when I was in high school. I said we watched the War to Settle the Score in chemistry class in my junior in high school, and then WrestleMania. See, I'm pre-WrestleMania.
Yep.
So
I'm
Hulk
way
Hogan was
WrestleMania. I'm old as hell. Okay, next up, Warren.
Yeah, so we're getting into the thick of it. We're getting into some good stuff now. I think my number 4 is probably the master of the middle finger, the guy that kicked everyone's boss's ass, Stone Cold Steve Austin. When it came to influence, it was something to see a guy that was so much supposed to be a heel turn into such a massive face without even forcing it. It just was natural, and it just brought in a whole new idea of how to look at characters and wrestlers and how you can bring them in, that you don't need to be flashy. You don't need to have, like I said, he was black boots, black trunks, go at it. Don't have to be spectacular.
Okay, next up for me could have been my number 1. My top 3 was really close, but it's the first one that really got into in the 70s was Dick the Bruiser. Watching them on Channel 4, Channel 6, and all these channels from the 70s and the 80s. So I was a big fan of Dick the Bruiser, loved it. A lot of people in Indiana and the Midwest grew up with Dick the Bruiser at that time. So I know Marcus, of course, a huge Dick the Bruiser fan. So, but yeah, he was my number 3. So, Austin?
All right, my number 3, my top 3 could have been 3, 2, 1. It could have been either way, but I went with number 3 as Stone Cold. I mean, everything Warren said. I mean, it's he's like, when I go and watch the pay-per-views, like the most rewatchable moments back then always involve Stone Cold, and he's the biggest star in my opinion, at least in WWE in my opinion, and maybe even as big as. I mean, he's one of the biggest stars of all time in terms of that. I mean, everybody knows who Stone Cold. You don't have to be a wrestling fan to know who Stone Cold is.
I mean, all you got to do is say Zamboni, beer truck, and you'll automatically know.
grocery store.
Glass shatter.
Yeah, so I had to put him on the list. I knew he was going to be high, and he landed at 3. So,
Yep. Okay, Chris.
3 for me is Kurt Angle. I think he's one of the best that's been in the ring for one. But then if you go with his amateur background and everything, I'd followed him before he ever got into pro wrestling as well. So he's always been up there for me. And then we also got a chance to meet him this year. So that was pretty cool.
Yep. Marcus.
All right, I'm going to answer Justin Danger's. Hogan was bigger, but I think Piper helped make him bigger.
I can't argue that. Without Iron Sheik and Piper, I mean, they were big helps to Hogan.
I assume okay, there we are. The thing with Kurt Angle, that's funny you said that, Chris. More people were impressed that I met Kurt Angle, the amateur wrestler, than Kurt Angle, the professional wrestler. Like my brother-in-law was like, "Oh, that's cool. He was such a great amateur." He was more intrigued that the Olympian, than he was the champion. So it's funny you said that. All right, number 3, the Road Warriors. Loved them till the day they died. Rest in peace for both of them. Since the first day I seen them and I got to meet them live too. There's a picture of me with the Road Warriors. And in fact, he was the Eternal Excellence champion, Road Warrior Animal. So Shane Kowser should be happy with that pick. Ox Baker's a good one too, Billy Buzz.
Okay, Warren?
Yeah, my next one up is, like I said, it's influential, and I didn't realize at the time when I was a young misery that this guy really was amazing in what he did, and we've actually been talking about him. It's Roddy Piper. The fact that he made me hate him so much as a kid, I couldn't stand him, and then he turns around and he does the Hollywood Backlot Brawl with Goldust, and continues to go on with everything, and that put there, like I said, the fact, like I said, we talk about influential, it really personified a heel for me and what a heel should be when I was younger.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. My number 2 was Roddy Piper. He had him just then, so I really can't add a whole lot to that, except Piper you couldn't turn away from. He even like you said, he did such dastardly things. What was the midget wrestler's name that he attacked and shaved his head?
Wasn't it the little?
Are you allowed to call midget wrestlers anymore?
I'm a midget, so.
Wasn't it? Yeah, like
Justin Danger, help me out. Justin Danger, who was it?
I can see him, but I can't think of his name.
Like Mr. T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
playing Tony, I lost it.
What he did to him and what he would do to a lot of wrestlers, it was just, he was so dastardly. And then he became a good guy, and he was a really big good guy also. I mean, he was really popular with the fans, even after being such a evil heel. So
he was even popular when he did the half black, half white. Like,
like the Bad News Brown. Yeah. I don't think you could do that today.
Oh, not even close. The coconut to Snuka and yeah, I mean.
Yep. Outstanding. Probably maybe the greatest heel of all time. I mean,
Haiti Kid. I think that's it.
Haiti Kid. Yeah. That's him. That's him.
Thank you, Billy Buzz.
I can't think of his name. Okay. Austin?
All right. My number 2, who, in my opinion, is the greatest of all time in the ring, and honestly, just overall, is Kurt Angle.
I knew Kurt Angle was going to be in his top 2.
Yeah.
I mean, so growing up, I didn't get to see his earlier years when he was more of when he first came in and was a little more comedic until later on. So the Kurt Angle I seen right away was the Wrestling Machine, and I, knew he was a wrestler, and I wrestled most of my life. So growing up, instantly he was like an idol, and I just got to meet him recently too, which was one of the greatest things ever. And so I just connected with him instantly. And then going back and watching all the older stuff from 99 and so forth, and seeing all the comedy and stuff. Yeah, I personally think he's the best of all time, the most well-rounded. And so he was going to be number 1 or 2. I knew that.
Chris?
Number 2 for me is going to be Bret the Hitman Hart.
I figured he was going to be your top 3. So
I was a big Bret Hart fan. Growing up, I think he's one of the best. I know his personality wasn't the greatest, but in the ring wise, he's one of the best to ever do it. I've just always been a big Bret fan.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, Marcus.
You probably know my top 2.
No, well, yeah, I think so. I know one for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you know what number 1 is. Number 2, I never would have dreamt as a 16-year-old kid that I'd be a good friend with this man today. Bubba Brazil Jr., Calypso Jim. We talk shop. I never would have ever thought we would talk shop, and we've had conversations. And in fact, I had a conversation with him and Deborah both at AACW, and I mean, those guys I love those people.
Yeah.
But to be a friend of Bobo's, he's happy to see me. I'm happy to see him. I never would have dreamt that ever would have happened.
A very nice gentleman. Next up, Warren.
Yeah, this one was a big one for me because it helped me come out of my shell. Believe it or not, I used to be a little more quiet, a little more reserved, not as out there as I yeah, I know.
I don't believe it.
But that is Degeneration X. It was
Got
just
you sent to the principal's office, didn't it?
yeah. Well, this was I'm almost 50, so it was post high school. So, but
That's in trouble at work.
You lost three jobs because of it.
Yeah. Told his boss to suck it a few times.
There's a former manager at Wendy's in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, that is not happy with me to this day because of Degeneration. But no, it was something that it helped just come out and just be like, it's fun. Life's about being fun. Wrestling's about being fun. It's just about fun and not to take everything serious all the time. I mean, there are times when you have to be serious, but there are times when you just gotta have fun with life and not let it eat you up. And that was them that helped me out.
Okay, my number one, guys. We're going to our number ones. Mine was Dusty Rhodes. He just
I knew that was going to be.
He's just probably my favorite of all time. And it was crazy as a kid growing up. I didn't know that he was the producer and the booker and helped write the shows. I didn't realize that at the time. I didn't know Virgil Reynolds at that time was Dusty Rhodes. I didn't know that till later on. So yeah, Dusty Rhodes and so many things he did back then are being used now. I can see it in Triple H's booking. If you see the way Triple H books his shows and stuff, a lot of it's that old NWA style with Dusty. There's a thing called Dusty finishes and stuff. So I think Dusty's as influential as anybody. So Dusty Rhodes is my favorite, the number one. Austin?
All right, my number one is Edge. I've always said he's probably my favorite of all time because growing up, once I hit like 5 or 6, when I could really watch it every week and understand what was going on a little bit more, Edge at that time was like the top hill. He was really hitting his peak. He was hitting his stride. And there was just something about him that I loved the character, the rated R, the ultimate opportunist. And ever since then, he's always been my favorite. I'm not saying he's the best in the ring or anything like that, but he's always been my favorite. So
You actually have a chair right here with his autograph on it.
I do.
Jim Ross.
Jim Ross. Yeah.
Okay. Next up is Chris. You're number one.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Same reasons as Warren said, but that's why his name is Austin as well. So so Stone Cold had to be my number one.
Okay. Next up is Marcus.
Go ahead and say it, Tony.
It's Dick the Bruiser.
Bruiser. Yes, indeedy, Dick the Bruiser. If it wasn't for Dick the Bruiser, I probably wouldn't be here today. Doing this, I'll be here today. I'll just be doing something else. But I seen Dick the Bruiser before I was a wrestling fan at the Coliseum in Indy at the State Fair because somebody said Bruiser was at the Coliseum, and my mom wanted to go get a glimpse of him. So we ran up them steps, and I seen Dick the Bruiser, and that was in 1980. I wasn't anywhere near a fan at that time, but just the awe of that man. And then, and I've met Dick the Bruiser, and
I'm gonna let Austin answer this question. Shane wants to know if you've ever watched any 70s, 80s, and 90s wrestling. No, you watched 80s and 90s. I don't know about 70s.
I don't know about 70s, but 80s, 90s, yeah. I mean, some of my people were in the later 90s that I put on my list, but I watched some of them, and I'm not saying it wasn't good. It's different eras. For me, I would rather watch late 90s or early 2000s than anything before. That's usually really like 99 to like 2006 or 7 is really like the sweet spot for me. So
the fact that you're 24, that you're even watching some of the 80s and 90s,
Well, he needs to get with Juan Sanchez because that kid's been watching the stuff.
Oh yeah.
So,
okay. Next up is Warren.
I did want an honorable mention. I did want to put in that.
He also said Ric Flair, like number 2 or something.
I do want, as an honorable mention, I do want to put in my late Grandpa Rummel, who way back in the day got me into this wrestling, and without him, I would never be here. And also another one is Jimmy King off of Ready to Rumble. But you ever seen that movie? But anyway, my number one, like I said, it's not about politics. It's not about everything. It's about when I was a little kid and how it influenced me. And my number one is Hulk Hogan, because he, like I said, he was, when I was a kid, that was it. That was, the end all be all, the say your prayers, eat your vitamins, the pythons, I am a real American. I mean, you just hear that. I am a real American. And then you get going with that music and you think about all that and you go back to that time, and it's that, I mean, like I said, the backstage, all this stuff you hear about is horribly disappointing, but yeah, when it come down to it, he was my
He'd have probably been top 4 on my list if he just showed up to Indianapolis one time when we went to see him.
You can understand.
Because I was too. Because I was born in '80, so growing up, that's when Hogan was. He was huge, like you said. It
crushes me to this day that it's a parking lot now in Pontiac. That everything is gone where Hogan slammed Andre, where WrestleMania 3 happened. It's gone, and it kills me to this day. Probably just like with you guys, a lot of the stuff in Indianapolis, the former places.
I have a picture.
Great
I have
stuff.
A picture of me and him laying on the 50-yard line there at the Pontiac Silverdome. I fell asleep. It's at a wrestling tournament. And he's a baby. I was waiting on somebody else or next wrestler. I fell asleep. Somebody took a picture, but it's at the Pontiac Silverdome. We're on the line right there on the 50-yard line.
You got to wrestle at the Pontiac Silverdome?
No, he wrestled at Ford Field.
No, he wrestled at Ford Field. He was at Pontiac Silverdome. He wrestled at Ford
I didn't
Field.
wrestle. I won.
Yeah, you won the championship. Yes, you did.
And I mean, I don't disagree with anyone in the chat about not liking him, not being a fan. That, like I said, when it just comes down to it, that he was the most influential. But I completely understand a lot of you guys with what.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Shane. Me and Tony just talked about that this past week.
Yep, we did.
If you actually buy the original wrestling album, it actually says that on there.
Yeah, it does. That song was originally for Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo. Okay, well, guys, we're going to move on and bring our guest in.
I got to make a funny here. Kevin Mitchell put on there who he wanted to meet. Do you know I got a friend request on Facebook from Becky Lynch this week?
Really?
Now, she had no profile picture, and she only had 4 friends, and they were all guys. But I'm laughing.
Okay.
So I had to throw that out there with see Becky
I think
Lynch.
you should.
I think you might want to check into that, Marcus.
I think you should.
Is she coming to Netflix? Is she going to be on Netflix? Come on, Marcus, friend her up and find out. Come on.
It might be a different streaming service. I don't know. But anyhow, I had to throw that out there because I'm laughing. I was like, "What's the matter?" Says Becky Lynch just said,
Marcus going to be on Becky Lynch's OnlyFans later.
All right. Well, let's bring our special guest in. Shooting with Shane.
Hey, how's it going?
How we doing this evening?
Doing great, man. How you doing?
Sorry we kept you waiting for a few, man.
Yeah.
No, you're good, man. I've enjoyed the show. Honestly, man, I've been a little under the weather the last couple of days. I don't know.
Well, join the club. This is the sick episode.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of days.
I hope you feel better. Okay, well, Marcus, I'll let you start things off.
All right, all right. All right. I know we've had you on the show and we know your story, but there may be people out there that don't. So tell us when you first got interested in professional wrestling.
I got interested, like my dad used to watch it when we were a little kid, or when I was a little kid, me and my brothers. The very first match that I remember seeing, I remember him watching like old school Ric Flair and Dusty in the cage and stuff like that. My dad, he loved Dusty and hated Flair because my dad was a working man. He hated everything that Flair stood for. Those are my earliest memories, but the one that always sticks to me the most is WrestleMania 6, title for title, Hogan and Warrior. That was when I just dove in, because before that, it was like, my dad and his friends would be in the living room drinking beer and eating pretzels or whatever you did back at that time. And, we'd always sneak in and sit, between the recliner chairs or the couch and, catch a couple things. But yeah, Hogan and Warrior for the title for title was when I first really got into it.
Warren, I'll let you go next.
All right. Since I know
This will be good.
Hey, number love for you, buddy. Come on. Like I said, yin to my yang. Yeah. Anyways, I know that, the historian that you are, if you could go back and rewrite one outcome of a match, what would you rewrite?
Oh, man. That's actually a pretty good question. If I could go back and rewrite one outcome, I have two. I have one that I would definitely do, and then an honorable mention. First one is Shawn and Taker 125 WrestleMania. I remember being at Buffalo Wild Wings with a bunch of friends. Back then, Buffalo Wild Wings used to, they used to pack them in. They'd have all the screens for the pay-per-views.
Oh yeah, we used to go to B-dubs to watch them.
Have a great time, and I remember there being just being packed in there wall to wall. And I remember when Sean and Taker come on, I just remember, there was a lot of kids that were in front of where we were sitting, and they were just like climbing on their chairs and cheering for Taker and cheering for HBK. And the next thing I know, the little kid came out, and me and my adult friends, and we're pretty much standing up cheering for the same thing. I definitely thought if anybody was going to take the streak, it should have been Sean. I think that would have been just perfect for HBK. The honorable mention, I know a lot of people probably disagree on this one, but if Sean wasn't going to do it, I'd rather seen Punk. I thought the build up for Punk and Taker's WrestleMania was just absolutely flawless. You got the brain of wrestling pretty much, Paul Heyman in there, helping out, Punk disgracing the urn, taking the urn ashes out and dumping them on himself, and just, playing football with the urn. I just thought that was well done. And, that was the first time that In Living Color, one of my personal favorite bands, played Punk out. It was the only time that they played Punk out. What better way to do it on the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania? And then the fact that Punk is such a mind game specialist, wearing the colors of Taker, the black, the gray, and the purple. I thought the match was just really well done.
Okay, I'll go next. Your favorite wrestling moment?
Oh man. Oh God. I gotta go to the moment that they went into overtime. HBK hit that super kick on Brett, and the boyhood dream became a reality. That's the one that sticks out to me the most.
Chris?
Yeah, I'll go with this one first. If you could manage anybody in the business, who would it be and why?
Dead or alive?
Doesn't matter.
Scott Hall. Scott Hall had a big influence on my musical career. Growing up, Scott Hall was one of my favorite wrestlers as Razor Ramon. I love Scott Hall. I still remember the vignettes. Loved Scott Hall. Me personally, he changed professional wrestling landscape for all time. When he showed up on WCW Nitro and walked down those stairs in that denim, nobody knew what he was there for. And you go back and look at it, and yeah, so Scott Hall, number one, would hands down be the guy.
Okay, Austin, you have a question?
Yeah, I'll just do a basic one here. Favorite wrestler of all time?
I have two. I gotta go Shawn Michaels. I've connected with him my whole life. I just loved him to death. I love the outfits. Ring gear was always great. He was just, to me, he was a hell of a performer. And then I gotta go Kenny Omega.
Okay,
The
next
stuff
up,
Kenny was doing back in Ring of Honor, but way before Bullet Club and all that. Obviously, he's engaged himself over the years, going 2 90-minute bouts with Okada, and it's just something about Kenny that just I'm attracted to something like that. You know what I mean?
Marcus?
All right. We've crossed paths. We've talked about this. And one day we'll have photographic proof because it's up there. Tell us about the old EWF days and you and Mr. DeVille.
Oh, man. All right. So me and DeVille, we go way back. We were talking not too long back here. We've known each other since we were, I think we said like 11, 12 years old, something like that. We had mutual friends. And then when me and my mutual friend, Travis, David, two sweet guys, when we all hooked up in middle school, it was like, oh, hey, this is my friend Ryan. Hey, this is my friend Shane. Here we are. And man, we hooked up with wrestling. And then I remember my little brother and I, we lived only a few blocks from the old EWF arena. It was, at the time, it's called Raintree Plaza here in Marion. And, every Friday you could go down and see a punk band that played on the right side because it was an old movie theater. And then on the left side, you had wrestling on Saturday nights. So it was like a double event that you could go to Friday and Saturday nights in Marion. You always had something covered. You had Taco Bell right across the street, Burger King, McDonald's right down the street. So you were always covered on stuff. But yeah, man, I'll never forget those days. EWF, that was the first time I met Justin Danger. He's become one of my good brothers, one of my best friends in the world. I talked to him quite a bit. And then, yeah, like I said, I got to see, Damian wrestle there. I actually got to play in the ring when I was playing music years ago, and this would have been at the EWF Arena when they moved it to next to Pizza King South there in Marion. They actually took one side of the ropes down, and oh man, jumping around in that ring with a drum set and amplifiers was not an easy thing to do because we had to have fans actually hold up the equipment while we were in the ring. But yeah.
Next up, Warren.
All right, I've let you rewrite. Now I'm going to give you the opportunity to erase. What's one wrestler you would erase from wrestling history that you just couldn't stand?
Oh man. The Rock. Just never liked it. I don't like his kiddie games or his sing-along crap. I don't like him. I thought the best thing he did was the Die Rocky Die stuff. Like when he was with Ron Simmons, the Nation, and Kamala, man, I thought, or not Kamala, but Kama, man, I thought, yeah, that, all right, this guy is peaked here. He's done. And to me, that's when it ended to me. I just don't like The Rock.
Okay, next up, let's see here. Best wrestling match you've seen live.
Best one I've seen live. We'll go two on this, and we'll go professional and we'll go independent. Independent wise, I've got to agree. Earlier, I seen a list, and I don't really go off the list too much. I like to read them for fun, but Johnny Crisis and Cody Lee in the ladder match for the title at AECW, I thought that was phenomenal. I mean, man, I was glued to that. There was a lot of bumps in that where I was just like, man, I'm feeling that in my own body because I'm a little up there in age my damn self, and I'm just like, damn, But I definitely go with that one. Best professional wrestling match I've ever seen live, man. Oh man, that's tough because I've seen quite a few. I gotta say CM Punk and Rey Mysterio. Yeah. It was a live event in Indy. I'm trying to think when that would have been. That would have been his best in the would have been the best. Yeah, it would have been the best in the world run, I'm pretty sure. Because he would have had the white.
Might have been at that. You remember, did we see Punk and Mysterio in Indianapolis?
Can't remember.
We went to quite a few shows in Indy, so
I'm pretty sure
I think I would remember.
I definitely know it wasn't Fort Wayne because I know that at the time I didn't really quite go to Fort Wayne very much for anything. But yeah, it was Punk and it would have been during the his first best in the world run. Yeah, it was Punk and Mysterio. I'm trying to think because I remember somebody came out, interfered, then it turned into a tag. I can't think of who it was though. I can't remember who they tagged against. And it was only like a 5-minute match. It wasn't very long because they already had like a 10-minute match, and then somebody came out and attacked Punk. The Mysterio jumped in to save because they were both face. But yeah, that right there would have been the best one I've seen live just for the fact that it was Punk. I'm not a Rey Mysterio guy, like per se. To me, there's a lot of luchadors that are a lot better than him. But for what he's done, like I caught what Austin said earlier about, he looked more fluent doing the stuff that he was doing. But yeah, to me, there's just a list of guys that I prefer more. But yeah, that definitely put in the match.
Next up, I believe, is Chris.
All right. You mentioned playing music a few times. How long did you play music, and what made you get out of the music business and into the wrestling business?
I've always done the wrestling thing because I was always going and I was becoming friends with the guys. And I remember hanging out and shooting like promos and stuff, like in the back at the back of Raintree there. If you've ever been to Raintree, you would know. Obviously, it's torn down now, but it was just this mural spray painted stuff on there. But yeah, the music thing, I dropped out of high school when I was 16. I got an offer to join a punk band called The Displeased. And they wanted to throw us a record deal right away. And, I was a 16-year-old dumb kid. Sounded good to me. I hated high school. To me, it was a prison. I mean, I went to Marion High School around the time when Columbine happened. So, I mean, it was a prison. We had a cop shop in the library. They tore down half the library to build an actual cop shop in there. You were metal detected, everything like that. You couldn't wear black hoodie jackets. You couldn't wear anything, any type of jacket. You had to have mesh backpacks. But, yeah, I got a message from my buddy one day, and he was like, "Hey, we should do this." And I was like, "All right, let's go." And me and him basically literally walked out that day, jumped in his car, and we drove to this practice spot that they were looking for a singer and a bass player, and we wrote a bunch of songs within an hour. I want to say we wrote like maybe 6-7 songs, and they were good to us, and we sent them to James, who was the producer for what was that label called? Perpetual Motion Records. And we did a 1-record deal with them. The record blew up, and we just kind of ran with it. And then we ended up signing with Jackal Records that we did our 2nd record on. And then we started our own label called Displeased Records because we were kind of getting tired of being screwed over and having money taken from us. Well, more money than we thought. And then I retired a little bit, and then just wanted to do the working thing. I was just kind of tired of doing the entertainment thing. And the next thing I know, I'm getting a call like, "Hey, we got this band, kind of same scenario. You want to come in? We have an opportunity to do stuff with 98.9 The Bear in Fort Wayne." And the crazy thing is, I'm still played on that radio station to this day, and I've never heard it. I'll have people message me all the time. "Hey man, just heard you on 98.9 The Bear." I'm like, "That's cool. That was like 3-4 years ago. I haven't heard it yet."
I've heard it like four or five times when we drive through there.
Yeah. I've never heard it. To this day, it's been at least like 3-4 years now, and like 2017, 18, something like that.
Okay, before Marcus goes, Billy Buzz had a couple of questions. We'll let these go. See if you can see him here.
So, did you have a favorite manager growing up, and why? Yeah, actually, I did. I had 2. I really liked Johnny Polo. I liked Raven. I liked what he did with the Johnny Polo character. I liked the bright shirts. I liked the cane. He's one of the reasons that I carry the cane. Well, he's one of the reasons. Brian Pillman, the cane will always be an ode to the loose cannon, Brian Pillman. And then Jim Cornette. I love Jim Cornette. I still do. Me and Justin Danger always laugh and talk about Jim Cornette. That guy just cracks me up. The hate that he has for Vince Russo, just, oh God, I love the fact that Cornette was like, "I will outlive this dude just so I can piss on his grave, even if I'm in a wheelchair." But I just like the guys that he managed. He managed a lot of great talent. I mean, look what he did in Smoky Mountain and stuff like that. And then when he came to WWF, WWE at the time, he had British Bulldog. He had Owen Hart, God rest his soul. Lost him way too damn soon. Yokozuna. Yoko was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up back in the 90s. I just liked how big he was and how agile the man was. I mean, he could, and just like Vader and Bam Bam were, but yeah. And then I love the suits. He was flashy as shit. And he always had a trick up his sleeve. He always made sure that his talent was going to get that win.
And he had one more.
You ever see the Ramones? Unfortunately not. No, I never got a chance to see the Ramones. The last opportunity that I would have seen to have the Ramones would have been right before Joey passed. Johnny and Dee Dee were still around. I want to say they didn't have Tommy because obviously they lost Tommy a long time ago. I want to say they had CJ, or not CJ. CJ, no. Yeah, it was CJ playing for Dee Dee. That's what it was. It was Joey, CJ, and Johnny. And I'm trying to think who the drummer was.
Marky? Was it Marky?
No, I wouldn't. No, because Mark. Yeah, I think it was Mark. Yeah, because Marky was doing the Misfit thing too. Yeah, because he was painting the skull face for the Misfits and then doing the Ramones. That might have been the same tour that they were on. But yeah, unfortunately, I never got a chance to see that show. Hell, when I saw Motorhead on their final tour, Lemmy died 7 days later. And when we went down to Indy to see them here years ago, we didn't know if we were actually going to see them because Lemmy, the night before, he had canceled that night before show because he was super sick. So we were worried that he was going to cancel on there too.
Okay, Marcus, we're going to do 2 more questions.
Yes. Still one of my favorite bands. My daughter is named after the Ramones.
All right. We brought up Jim Cornette on Friday. That guy's a genius.
Absolutely.
Historian. And
Do you
we're
ever,
talking.
Marcus, do you ever listen to his podcast or watch his show on YouTube?
I know Shit Stain. I'm very well aware of Shit Stain and pissing on his grave, and he's there if you have to pour his colostomy. Yeah, I've heard that stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's funny.
That's pure hatred right there.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us how you became a manager, and I guess how Called X was born. I'm going to kind of cram 2 of them together.
Yeah, how did you form a cult? I want to hear this. How do you? I need directions on how to form a cult.
Well, you basically just got to have a mindset like I do, Chris, and just be able to let people know that there's a different society out there if you're willing to take the time to find it. But and then having really good taste in Kool-Aid doesn't help, or definitely helps too. But we put a lot of sugar in ours. But no,
I think it might be white, but I don't think it's sugar.
I don't know. Oh, Tony. We were. I was at work today. I was working with an individual, and he was getting out of a group. Warren and I've known each other a little bit of time. He knows what I'm talking about. I was working with an individual. He was living with me at the time, and we had the same job. And the group that we were doing at the time was kind of coming down to its end. And me and said person were talking, and we were like, hey, man, you should just manage me, and we should just maybe try to get a couple extra people and create our own group. And I said, yeah, that'd be awesome, And right off the bat, I was thinking, like a Dangerous Alliance style group, something like that, And we started running different names down, and next thing you know, we debuted, and it was me and two other individuals. And nobody knew what it was about. Nobody knew what was going on because, like I said, it was brand new, it was fresh. And then the very next show, after that show, I remember getting so much hate mail, like, "Oh, I can't believe you guys were a cult, and you're throwing this out there to kids and teenagers and stuff like that." And it's like, anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge Charlie Manson fan. I love Charlie, always have. I love serial killers. I'm so fascinated by that side of life. I just like to know why things were the way they were, kind of thing. Break it down, put it together until I can understand it. So I took a lot of Charlie stuff and put it in there. I took a lot of Heath Ledger's Joker stuff, put it in there. And me and said individual, man, we spent hours and hours in my basement on the old SWS set, cutting little mini videos and little mini promos, trying to really perfect what we were trying to do. And then the armband thing came up one day. We were sitting there drinking a beer, taking some shots, and we went upstairs to do something and to get our cigarettes for something. And we were watching old Raw stuff. And I remember seeing the Nexus was on like an old episode. And a couple days later, that just stuck with me. And I was like, dude, we should do armbands with X's on them because, we've X'd ourselves out. And so, yeah, and then after that, man, we just started planting the seeds of like, hey, anybody can be in Cult X, and that's the thing with us. You never know what we're going to do next. Like,
okay, next up, Warren.
Yeah, let's sort of stick with sort of the music vibe. What's the one wrestling theme song that you hit, that when you hear hit, it just gets you going? Just
Cult of Personality. Like I said, I actually when I was playing in the band that had the deal with 98.9 The Bear, they're called Outside Shot. You guys can check them out and stuff on like Reverb Nation and YouTube and all that. But we actually got to play with In Living Color.
Get out of really?
Yeah, we got to play a 3-day festival. Nice. It's called Willitown, Ohio. I have some friends that I've known since these kids were 10, 12, 13 years old, Ralph and Buddha and Jameson. I've known these guys for a long time. And they booked us on their Willitown, Ohio. It was the first one they ever did. They brought in a bunch of bands. In Living Color was on there. I actually have the poster somewhere with all the names and stuff. And it was just really cool to see our name on there. But see, when I used to go running before work or after work or go to the gym and stuff like that, Call to Personality was just that song that just hit for me. Call to Personality and Letters to the Landlord by In Living Color are two of my personal favorite songs. Unfortunately, Letters to the Landlord don't really have quite that hit to it.
It's
like that. I mean, you hear that and right off the bat, I'm geeked up. I go from like level 5 to level 11. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's get it.
Okay, my question is, funniest guy you've been around in a wrestling locker room?
Oh, man. I got a couple off the top of my head. Number one, I gotta go Christian Cash. Christian Cash was one of the first guys, like when I came into AECW, I've said this a lot, but he was one of the first guys that kind of, you know, it was like one of the first guys to talk to me, you know, obviously besides Damien. But Christian was one of the first guys that I didn't know. Never heard him before, because at that time, I think he'd only been doing it for maybe like a year or two. But Christian was one of the first guys. But every time I see Christian, he always comes up, gives me a hug or whatever. And he's just always so funny and goofy. He's always cracking jokes on people and, you know, trying to rib people or something like that. Christian definitely. And then, honest to God, I got to go Shane Kauser. I love messing with that man. I really do. He is just, he's a funny dude, man. Like, if you ever get a chance to go out to eat with him, which I know a lot of us have, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, you can get him so riled up by just saying something, and you can just ride on that for a good couple minutes. And yeah, I love Shane to death, man. He gave me a chance. You know what I mean? I was coming off the podcast thing, and he's like, hey, man, met the dude. Hey, my name's Shane. Hey, my name's Shane too. Hey, my middle name's Eugene. Mine too. Well, hell, is your last name Kauser or Timmons? You know, like, well, shit. All right. Yeah, it was just, yeah, it was really cool to meet Shane. I have no regrets on that whatsoever. He's been like a father figure to me, treated me really good, and he's continued to treat me good. He checks on me, I check on him, and yeah, I just enjoy the time that I get with him. But yeah, Christian and Shane are definitely funny guys to be around. Experiment X, my monster, he is a hoot. I love messing with him. So those would be my top three.
Yes.
Can I throw one in there real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
Tell them about IHOP this last time where Christian Cash is making fun of Shane Kauser with the
Yeah.
glasses. I mean, that was classic stuff.
It was.
brought those two guys up.
I think Shane was going to have like a damn aneurysm before we left there. He was just getting so, and he always puts himself in the wrong seat. Like, he puts himself in a seat where he can't quite escape to get out from everything that's going on around him. So, you know, you have Marcus and Kelly on one side. You got Shane sitting in between a couple other people, and, you know, Christian's over here and I'm over here, and he's just kind of trapped in this corner, like literally this corner, and he can't get out. And he's just, I mean, I'm back there like blowing him kisses, like, it's okay, boss, just calm down, like, we love you. And he's just, you could just see him building up. But yeah, he takes it all, man. He's fun to be around. He's just, I love working him up, though. I do. And I know he's going to see this, and he's probably watching now, and he's probably going to be like, oh, damn it, you know, like, but yeah, Shane Kauser, man, you know, he's a good dude. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Chris?
Kelly has a question. Who is your favorite super fan, Kelly or Marcus?
Well, you know, of course I got to go Kelly.
I don't even know why she asked that. We know Cold X.
Yeah, Cold X together. That's what we do. And hey, by the way, too, I know I've already congratulated her, but to hear Kelly announce Cold X on her first night as a ring announcer, that will go down in history as one of my top 10 favorite things that I've ever done. And that's not bullshit. That's the truth. And then when we sat in the audience, because apparently we weren't allowed in the building, so we had to buy tickets. But to hear her do her thing, man, it's so cool. It's so cool. Well, I love you, boss. I just give you a hard time. Love you too, brother.
Okay, Chris?
Who's your favorite GWR member?
Oh, there we
On
go.
Kelly's question.
There's a question for you.
Well, that's good, brother Chris.
You
I
know,
knew
'cause
that.
there's another
We know it
SWS
ain't Warren.
Suck-ass.
We know it ain't Warren.
I knew it wasn't Warren. I figured I had a better chance of Warren, but I didn't have much. And me and Marcus probably on the same boat.
Yeah, I mean, I'd pick all you guys. I'd pick Austin, Tony, Chris, Marcus, Kelly. Sorry, Warren, I just don't like you. And I like how Justin Grubb's like, oh, when did Shane or SWS come and ass kiss her? When do you think it's cool to swing a chain at a paying fan? I think that's or just expelled from the company, period.
I thought he was going to get you with that chain.
I thought he was too, and I just think it's rude that I'm a paying fan. I think it's rude that I had to buy the tickets for the guys just for us to sit there, just to enjoy the show as fans, you know, and then to have a chain swung at me, like, what is this?
Okay, Marcus. Last question.
Okay. You brought up the podcast. The podcast went into hiatus. You're getting ready to rebirth the podcast. You want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I did the podcast I did it for 3 seasons, I think it was. and had a lot of fun times doing it. I've always told everybody, when you came on my show, you can say whatever you want, do whatever you want. I take the hit from YouTube. I didn't care. Took quite a few hits, but it was all right. But yeah, I just kind of got tired of it. I was kind of burning myself out, but I enjoyed every conversation. I still have the table. And Marcus, I've always told you that if I ever get rid of that table, it will go to you, good sir. So there's probably over 100 autographs on that damn thing. Right now it's in a storage unit here in Marion. I don't really have a place to put it here, but yeah, I'm bringing it back, man. Just something I want to do, something that I want to just, again, I feel like there's more stories out there. I've met more people here in the last couple years, and I feel like they have a story, because that's what SWS, the podcast, was about, you know, getting your voice out there however you want it to be heard. So I'm actually coming back. Now it's not going to be the typical podcast. So like, because where I'm at right now, I don't have an office anymore. So I don't have a setup, you know. So basically what it's going to be is it's going to be like the live version of SWS, the podcast. So I'll come on Facebook Live, bring on a guest kind of thing. We'll do, you know, maybe 60 minutes, whatever. But my first guest will be January 7th. And I'm bringing in the Wizard, Chris Zach, very cool guy that I've met here in the last couple months. So I can't wait to bring him on. Very, really good historian for pro wrestling. So I think a lot of fans are going to love that. And then the second guest, I'll go ahead and give that away. It's going to be my son, D. Tanner Kelly. And then the rest of the guests, I have them. Marcus, I'll screenshot it, send it to you so you know what's coming. But yeah, like the rest of the guests, I got some really cool ones. Chris is actually going to be on there, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, man, like I said, it's just something that I'm starting to miss, I think. You know, it's something that I love doing. And yeah, it's just, I just want to hear more stories from people.
Warren, your final question.
All right. And I mean, all joking aside, Shane,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you really are in a way a mentor to me. You've helped push me through a lot of this stuff, and I know I can always rely. You know, we can bounce stuff off each other, and you're helping me get to have fun in this whole thing too. And like I said, I really appreciate that a whole lot. And I know we have some of the best laughs with this, but I'll make this one really, really, really easy for you. And I probably already know the answer. But which side do you choose, DX or NWO?
Ooh, I didn't think you was going to think about that one.
I got to go NWO, because like when I think of DX, I think of like to me, DX was Sean, Hunter, China, and Rick Rude. To me, that was DX. I didn't like really when they brought the Outlaws in. I really didn't like when they brought Six in. I mean, he fit because he was Hunter's boy, you know, but other than that, I didn't really think he fit. And then when they brought Kane and Tori and all that in, I thought, I just didn't like that. But then NWO, they brought in everybody too. But when I think NWO, I think the original Six. So, and I just like the spray painting and the ball bats, and just the build up for Sting and Hogan at Starrcade was one of the best build up and matches of all time, in my opinion. Like, yeah.
Okay. My final question is, what is your goal in AACW?
To manage the world's champion, hands down. I've already managed the first ever U.S. champion, the whole damn thing, Justin Danger. I've managed, I managed the current tag team champions, the Tanner Kelly and Experiment X. When it comes to the Eternal Excellence Championship, in my opinion, I held it in my hands, so I managed myself. So whether DeVille likes that or not, get over it. But yeah, definitely world champion. Well, plus, let me be honest, there was an individual that did hold that title, so I did manage him too. So, so yeah, world champion, hands down.
All right, Chris?
And I got my eyes out, boys.
Well, you kind of stole, or kind of already went into what I do with my last question, but what I do with my last question is just give you opportunity to tell everybody where they can find you, and basically just promote yourself, your social media, and all that stuff.
Sure. Yeah, you can find, first off, you can find Cult X on Facebook. It's cult.x. Hit that search bar. And then you can find Shootin' with Shane on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And that's Shootin' with Shane, or SWS if you want to make it shorter. And then you can find me on my personal page at Shane Eugene Timmons. And yeah.
Well, heck, we appreciate you being on with us tonight.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on. Always a pleasure with you gentlemen.
Anytime. We'll have you back on some point. And you have a good night. And everybody out there, you guys got anything?
Marcus, you got anything, or Warren?
I don't think
I do.
I know you.
Let's go Lions, Kings of the North. Yeah.
We appreciate everybody watching. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Gonzo Sports Room. Like and follow Facebook, X, Instagram, or Gonzo Sports Room as well. Also check out ESEN on all their social media pages, and we'll see you guys next Monday.
Yes, sir. Much love, guys.
Of course, I can't find it.
Get us off. Come on, Chris.
I'm working on it.
That'd be absolutely devastating.
Here, this is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn broadcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my ass while I win this match.